Ladies and gentlemen, the radical progressives who have been rioting across the country just got sent a very clear message. You see, as you might have noticed, radical progressives have been losing their minds over the arrest of former Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil, a Syrian national who's been in the US on a student visa. Now, on March 8th, Mahmoud was arrested by ICE for his role in various violent pro-Palestine protests that he himself helped organize. You see, Mahmoud Khalil isn't just some random student activist. No, he was a leader and spokesperson for a group called Columbia University Apartheid Divest, or CUAD. And to make it absolutely clear just what type of people we're dealing with here, I want you guys to hear how they describe themselves in their own words. "We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We stand in full solidarity with every movement for liberation in the global South. Our intifada is an international one. We are fighting for nothing less than the liberation of all people. We reject every genocidal eugenicist regime that seeks to undermine the personhood of the colonized." Now, for those of you that don't know, intifada is an Arabic word that essentially means rebellion, and as they say themselves, they're looking to completely eradicate Western culture. So when we're talking about Syrian immigrant Mahmoud Khalil, keep all of that in mind. But you know what? Instead of just sitting here talking about it, let me actually show you guys exactly what we're dealing with here. So take a look at this footage from one of Mahmoud Khalil's recent riots. So yeah, folks, this is the type of chaos that Mahmoud Khalil helped personally orchestrate on multiple occasions. But now, as I previously said, about a week ago, the Trump administration actually had Mahmoud Khalil detained by ICE, and as of today, he's awaiting deportation. And actually, just yesterday morning, Vance himself weighed in on all of this. Let's take a look what he had to say.
A green card holder, even if I might like that green card holder, doesn't have an indefinite right to be in the United States of America, right? American citizens have different rights from people who have green cards, from people who have student visas. And so my attitude on this is this is not fundamentally about free speech. And to me, yes, it's about national security, but it's also more importantly about who do we, as an American public, decide gets to join our national community? And if the Secretary of State and the President decide this person shouldn't be in America and they have no legal right to stay here, it's as simple as that.
Do you see more such deportations happening?
I think we'll certainly see some people who get deported on student visas if we determine that it's not in the best interest of the United States to have them in our country. So yeah, I don't know how high that number is going to be, but you're going to see more people.
Okay, so let me ask all of you guys a question. Do you think it's in the best interest of the United States of America to allow people like Mahmoud Khalil to stay in the country? Because personally, I would say no. Now, we have a lot more to talk about with all of this, but first, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But all right, check this out because this is where things get really interesting. As a direct consequence of all of the anti-American riots at Columbia University, President Trump actually threatened to cut them off from over $400 million in federal funding. And can you guess what happened next? As of yesterday afternoon, Columbia University has issued dozens of expulsions, dozens of suspensions, and dozens of degree revocations against the students who participated in some of these riots. So folks, all of these violent, radical progressives just learned the hard way that under President Trump, there are real and serious consequences for this type of anti-American behavior. But folks, here's the thing. Columbia University isn't the only place where some of these rioters got a rude awakening yesterday. In fact, take a look at what happened inside of Trump Tower in New York City just yesterday morning. So folks, very clearly, all of those rioters didn't get the message that now that President Trump is back in office, we are a country that maintains law and order. And hey, you know what? Speaking of maintaining law and order, take a look at this.
Chief, good to have you here today. What can you tell us about what the law enforcement in New York confronted today? Did these people go peacefully? What was it like in there?
So, Martha, how you doing? I'll put this on a timeline for you. Roughly about 11:30, we had 150 protesters in small groups of 7 in different times coming both entrances of Trump Towers in civilian clothes. Once they were inside, they took off their clothes, and they had matching red shirts with different sayings supporting Palestine. We know this group very well, and this is their MO. Within 10 minutes of that, notifications went out, and we responded. And once I got here as the incident commander, the goal was real simple for us: secure the perimeter of Trump Towers, get with Secret Service and Trump Security, make sure everyone in the building is secure. And once we had that, this is a public access area. So we had to get permission from Trump Security, which we did, to make these arrests. We gave warnings, and ultimately, of the roughly 150 that we here, 98 chose to stay in the cafeteria area, and we made those arrests. Those arrests would be for violation, trespass, but also obstructing government administration and resisting arrest, which are Class A misdemeanors due to the fact that we had to carry them out. I would say from start to finish, this was a 2-hour operation making 98 arrests, and there were no incidents in terms of anyone getting hurt, property damage. The NYPD, like you mentioned October 7th earlier, we've handled over 5,000 of these protests in all different shapes and sizes, and our professionalism training showed through today. And like I said, 2 hours, we got this cleared up.
So folks, there you have it. Just yesterday, 98 of those radical progressive rioters were arrested. Now, here's the reality. During the Biden era, every time rioters like this got arrested, that is, if they ever got arrested, they were pretty much just let go with no charges. But as you can see, now that President Trump is back in office, these rioters are finally facing real, serious punishments for this sort of anti-American behavior. And let me tell you what, that is long overdue. But now, there's one more thing I want you guys to take a look at. You see, late last night, as Vice President J.D. Vance was attending an event in Washington, D.C., he was harassed by, you guessed it, more radical progressive protesters. But instead of backing down, he had this to say. Take a look.
And I'm sure all of us saw there were a few protesters outside. And I can't be the only person wondering, it's a little after noon on a Friday, and don't you all have jobs? Who are the people? And I think that's one of the reasons why we've got to rebuild American manufacturing and support great companies like Vantage Plastics, because we want those people to get off the streets and back to work. It'd be good for them, and it'd be good for everybody else, too.
And folks, you know what? He's absolutely right. If all of these protesters actually had jobs, that is, if they were gainfully employed, they wouldn't even have time to try to tear down this country. And so when you really think about it, that's just one more little bonus to all of the jobs that President Trump is bringing back to America right now. We are making America great again in ways that we didn't even know were possible. But now, folks, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates as it relates to all of this stuff. So if you guys use Facebook, go down below, check out that pinned comment, and give that page a follow. But everyone, that's going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there. Like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.